Coming up in this video.
A little bit of French, let's say B1 level, because I studied it in Russia as well. But it wasn't, for sure, it wasn't as good as my English. I didn't feel comfortable in it. It was a bit of a culture shock. I studied economics, so I started being a TV host first as an anchor for new economic news.
Okay.
And then I had economics related TV shows.
Okay.
He is a COVID child. He's a COVID pet. He was born in 2020.
Okay.
So he's 4 years old now, and he's been to like 8 countries already. Cool pop, like all my friends know the name I'm gonna say now is Nikos Economopoulos. I'm going to his concert tomorrow.
Oh wow! Cool.
I've been like 12 times to his bouzoukia in 2 years. Whatever to perform, if I want to make money with it, of course it's a bit too late for me to enter the opera stage because you have to start early. Out to my family as a singer was a challenge, and it was always much harder for me to sing, you know, in front of my family than in front of a big crowd. Okay. I realized I came to Greece. I mean, I started, you know, talking to people, finding, you know, fellow musicians, DJs. I joined a band, a rock band.
This is Expat Experts.
Welcome to this new episode of Expat Experts. We are recording from Athens again with Lily. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation and for leaving the space for the recording.
Thanks for having me on your podcast.
It's a pleasure. You're originally from Russia, but you moved abroad pretty early in life, as far as I recognize. Like in 18 years old, you already went to study?
Yeah, 17.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, even like being underage. But Paris, then you went Cyprus, you did...
Yeah, Cyprus for the first year of my bachelor's. Then I transferred to Paris, where I finished my bachelor's. I graduated, then I moved back to Russia, to Ufa. I lived there for a couple of years. I started my career, so to speak. Then I moved back to Cyprus, where I got my master's. Then I moved back to Russia, and COVID hit. I stayed there. And then my first trip after COVID was to Greece. And basically that's how I'm here.
Okay, it's quite a lot of back and forward, let's say like this. Professionally, you are a musician.
Right now I'm moving more into this direction.
Cool.
But I used to be a TV host in Russia and an English teacher. My bachelor is in business administration, and my master's is in applied linguistics and TESOL. Okay. So I do that as well on the side to support myself because, you know, being a musician,
art is
we
art.
struggle.
Yeah. Cool. We will talk more about the music part and the whole, because you sing in a lot of languages and that triggers the curiosity out of me a lot. But so let's do the first part first, and let's talk a little bit about your experiences living abroad.
The Expat, episode 11 with Lily, aka Liliya.
I love it. I always knew I was going to live abroad. For some reason, I felt it. And it was just a matter of like how and when. I love learning about different cultures. I love assimilating into a new country, of like learning new ways to live and hearing, you know, different stories. And living abroad showed me that people are basically kind of same everywhere. And it's like there's good people and bad people everywhere. And I love it. I have, the worst part of like always moving is that as soon as you start getting friends and you have to leave them and they miss you. But on the other side is you have friends all over the world. So wherever you come, you feel at home.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you said the very first move, you did it with 17 years old?
Yeah, I just graduated high school. So I was still 17, but then I turned 18 in November. Yeah.
And I was going to Cyprus for studies, so it was studying related. And you did 1 year there.
Yeah, 1 year, because it was easiest for me as a Russian to apply to a foreign university. I didn't have to do like an extra year, like, in Germany or in France, for example. You need to do this prep courses. But unfortunately, Cypriot system of education didn't impress me much. And I realized that I needed, to probably move somewhere. And the place that accepted me and my credits was Paris, and a private business school in Paris. Yeah.
So you transferred, like you did 1 year in Cyprus, and then you were able to transfer that entire whole year, or
entire
parts
whole
of it?
year. I was very lucky.
That's cool. That doesn't happen often. I think a lot of people needs to repeat or start from scratch or take some subjects out, but the full year, it's strange. Nice, very cool. And how was it like? Because you're really young, like.
Cyprus was already familiar to me because we used to come there often for holidays, for vacations. My mom loves Cyprus. She has a special bond with it, and whenever before I turned 18, I was bound to, my parents. I couldn't travel without them. So if I wanted to travel, I'd have to go with my mom, and she only wanted to go to Cyprus.
So you knew the country even before?
I knew the place. I knew it. There. Yeah, it wasn't a huge stress for me. But Paris, I had only been there once before moving there. I didn't know a single person. I spoke a little bit of French, let's say B1 level, because I studied it in Russia as well. But it wasn't, for sure, it wasn't as good as my English. I didn't feel comfortable in it. It was a bit of a culture shock, I could admit. I mean, France and Paris specifically. Yeah. Those who know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But no, I still, now looking back, I'm thinking, how did I even do it? Like, I was 18, 19, 20. My flats were like, my first flat in Paris was like 13 square meters, which is
a normal flat in Paris. Yeah, it's a big flat in Paris.
It is a luxury. But and I was like, would I even be able to do it now? Maybe not. Like, I didn't know anyone, but I was 19. I loved French culture. I loved Paris. I was just so happy to be there, to live there in no matter what status, but being a student, even better, like learning. And my business school was American. So half of the subjects were in English, so half of the professors were American and half of them were French, and you could choose your subjects, and it was amazing.
What about Cyprus? Was it in English also there? Or?
Yeah, in English.
Because you moved there, I suppose.
Yeah.
In which part of Cyprus did you move?
Greek part, Larnaca. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't really speak Greek at that point of time?
I didn't used to speak Greek at all at that time. Moreover, I never was able to learn Greek when I lived in Cyprus because, they have a specific dialect. Yeah. And when you even if you study Greek, like you learn proper Greek, but then you go out in the streets and they speak something completely different. So I only actually managed to learn Greek properly on lockdown. When I was in Russia and I had, lockdown, we did many things.
And you needed to feel this podcast started in lockdown. So.
Yeah, exactly. So and I thought, why not? I need to improve it. Finally, I need to because I have this unfinished business sort of in my head. Like, I kind of know Greek, but I kind of don't know it. And then, I did a lot of Greek and a lot of baking during COVID. So, and then I decided, why not? Why not Greece? And
cool. Very nice. So how many years you were in Paris then?
2 years, 2 more years, because European Bachelor is 3 years. But because my school was, as I said, half American, we were able to basically what I did during my last year, I took extra subjects. So I did extra credits. I wrote one more like bachelor thesis, and they issued a diploma for 4 years of studying.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I am a bit of a Hermione myself.
Transferring from one university to the other with complete year, then combining 2 last years in one. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's not bad.
I am a nerd.
I mean, if you're good at studying, that's good.
Yeah,
like, good for you.
I love studying, yeah.
And you said half of it was in English and the other half was in French. So you needed to learn French for the studies?
I mean, I could understand everything with my French, but of course I needed to improve it to be able to write papers, you know. But the good part is that I was able to choose my subjects. So of course I chose, the majority of them were in English. Because also American professors were kind of cooler.
American professors living in Paris. I'm seeing the stereotype, I think. Yeah.
I mean, every single one of them was like a special case. They were such interesting, like people with very interesting destinies. Yeah.
Cool. So nice. Like, how many languages did you speak back then? Like,
well, yeah, when I moved to Paris, I only spoke, Russian, English, and French. But then in my school, we were supposed to choose an extra language to study, and it was either Italian or Chinese. And I was like, okay, Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I was learning Italian in French. For me, that was...
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You were learning Italian in French?
In French. I had to translate into English. I decided not to even translate to Russian. I was like, okay, let's just translate to English at least. But yeah, that was... But, French, Italian, they're pretty close, like Spanish as well. Latin languages, yeah. It was an experience.
Do you remember anything that shocked you? Like, you said that there was a cultural difference. I suppose also Cyprus was also different, like from being from Russia. You are from a big city in Russia, or you are from
yeah, quite a big city. Now we have 1.5 million people.
Okay, that's good.
It is like a capital of our republic, of our state. This is produced by our home brand. It says Bashkir Aesthetics.
Cool.
Yeah, I come from Bashkortostan. So yeah, and your question was, did I notice?
If it was a shock, like both like Cyprus and Paris at that point of time, what would be the thing that you remember, the culture shock to be?
Well, the biggest shock for me in like the Cypriot University was like when you, during the break, you would come out and then you would go out to like, let's say a cafeteria, and you pass by and there is just, the sea, the Mediterranean at the cafeteria, and all the students are just, drinking their frappes. This is something you will never see in Russian university because they're pretty, serious about studies. In France, in Paris, I didn't have that much of a shock. But I guess the biggest shock was that, you can just take a subway and, 15 minutes and you're like in the Louvre and it's always accessible to you. And if you're a student, you have your student card and it's almost free. And it's just, just direct access to like the world culture, world knowledge in just like 15 minutes. Yeah, that was the biggest shock, I guess.
Nice. So it triggered you, like you said that you loved the whole like French culture and everything.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the thing is that we studied French in my high school in Russia, right? And we had the best teacher. She really like immersed us into the French culture. But the French culture back in the day, like Jodassin, we were singing those songs like Charles Aznavour. And, we were learning about the 14th of July and all this, all the stereotypes about French people. Yeah. But then when I arrived to Paris and I started living there, and we have the stereotype in Russia that French is such a romantic language, is the most beautiful language on earth. Then I arrived to Paris and I heard like French people swearing. I was like, that was the shock, I guess. Yeah. And then I realized actually, we also have a stereotype about German, about it being like this harsh, brutal language. And then I heard German speak, and it's actually so soft and so gentle. And I heard like this German rap. I don't know if you know the singer Ko. And it's so like melodic. And I was like, what? Yeah.
I think in Paris, for example, like the French, if you go to certain neighborhoods, the French is very harsh. And in Germany, it really depends on the region.
Yeah.
There is dialects and accents inside of Germany that are really, really hardcore. I mean, there is even like
maybe northern, right?
The northern are a little bit more like, harsh in the sense. The southern are probably the most complex to understand if you learn like hard German, like the standard, like normative German. I luckily lived in Frankfurt, which has one of the most melodic and most French style German thing. Yeah. So it's funny. I don't know. They don't pronounce the double R, for example, all these kind of things. Yeah. So it's kind of curious. It's interesting. But we have the same stigma about German. And when I lived there, I was like, it vanished, like the whole idea that German cannot sound like soft or whatever, which it can, and it's nice. Cool. And then you, after 2 years of studying in Paris, I think I'm lost in the chronology. I don't know when.
It's easy to get lost in my life.
When do you go back to Russia? Did you go back to where did?
I had to learn it myself to be able to remember.
That when you went back to Russia,
13. Sorry, I went back to Russia because there was another like crisis, and the euro-ruble currency rate really jumped up. Yeah. And it was basically, if I wanted to stay in Paris, I would have to like get like any job that I could get, and in order to be able to support myself better. But at that time, I was already a bit tired of Paris, to be honest, a bit tired of French people. I love French people. I have French friends, but how do you say, they're not the most xenophilic people. And I, in my mind, I already had this like path for myself that I wanted to do something with media, with TV. And I knew it would be hard for me to enter that market in France because I still didn't speak French at, the proper level. And I didn't want to stay in Paris just for the sake of staying in Paris. So I moved back to my hometown and I started working there for a regional TV channel.
How does this career change? Because now you're a musician and doing English lessons. Yeah. I mean, we will talk later about it, like the last part, but when do you discover that while studying business and administration in a business school, you want to go into the TV show scene?
The thing is that, when you look at it like that, it's very confusing. But me, first of all, ever since I was like 3 or 5, like you could track in all my like diaries, it was like with big letters, I was writing, I want to become like a singer, an actress, or a TV host. But I also have my parents, I have my family, and we are like this dynasty of economists. So my dad was like, get a economics education first, and then do whatever you want. And that's what I did.
I see. It influenced the whole family route.
But I want to say that I never regretted, learning about economics. I mean, economics was like my second nature because that's what we always talk about in our family. So it wasn't hard for me to, study. I really loved it. And I have friends who have followed like paths I wanted to take, like who studied, for example, movie making. I wanted to be a film director also when I was 17, or, who entered other universities. And I saw that their education didn't really give them that much in terms of, if you want to be a filmmaker, let's say, theory, like theoretical education, isn't going to help you as much. You just need to start doing basically and learn from your mistakes. So, but now at least I know how to set up a business in France. I will never need it, but
Good.
I know about marketing, about finance, and that helps, if you're a blogger, if you want to be an influencer, if you want to work, sell stuff on Instagram, to understand how people's minds work and all this. So I'm grateful very much to my dad for making me do this.
Did you went back to your region when you went back in
Yeah,
time?
that was the biggest shock also for me,
This
switching from Paris to my town.
There is a big shock that a lot of people doesn't talk about it, and
it is
they're going back home,
almost on the verge with depression, and because obviously no city in the world can be compared to Paris. I am subjective about it, but it is beautiful, it is busy, it is economically on another level than my hometown. And for me, I was in a bit of a shock, but I had my family there, which if I was alone there, I wouldn't be able, I guess, to stay for a long time. I
can imagine. How do you found the job? How do you go to a TV show and say, hello, I'm graduated in business administration, economics, and can I become a TV host for you?
Well, I didn't become a TV host on my first day. First of all, I also did internships when I used to come for summer vacation. So they already knew me a little bit, but also I started out from the bottom. So first I was behind the screen. I joined the news team, and I was just following, the news team, and I was writing, what's it called? I don't know the word in English, but basically the news stories. Then I took some classes with, the speaking coach, and also, my sort of advantage, my let's say something that I stood out with my resume. First of all, I had a degree from abroad, and in Russia, if it's from abroad, no matter from where you are, you have an advantage. But also the way I presented myself is I'm an expert in economics. I studied economics, so I started being a TV host first as an anchor for new economic news, and then I had economics related TV shows. Cool. So it was all in that area. Even though deep down I always wanted to be just a pure entertainer, but at that point I couldn't complain. I took what I could get, and I just wanted any kind of experience on TV.
Nice. How many years you spent back home before moving again?
About 2.5 years, I guess,
And then Cyprus again?
And then Cyprus,
How did that come? You went for studies again? You didn't like the university system at all, so you decided to go back?
The point with me is I am this kind of person in my job. I like to see the result. I like to see the effect ASAP. So with TV, it was a bit hard because, you release a show, then you get a feedback after it airs, maybe a month later. You're already working on something else, and you're you can't really accept the positive feedback. You have to be focused on, And as I was on TV, my sister, who at the time she was a professor of economics at the university, at our university, she had a group of professors in their 80s who randomly decided to learn English. Well, not randomly. At the time, we had the BRICS summit. It was going to take place in my hometown.
Okay.
So and she was like, do you want to, try and teach them something? They didn't know anything. And I was like, okay, let me see. And I started doing that on the side, and I really loved it. And, I could see the result like almost immediately. And I mean, those people, of course, they're still educated, really smart people, so it's easier to teach them. But still, they're like in their 80s. And they were able to go from like A0 to like at least A1/A2. They were able to like in 1 month to have some tiny dialogues between themselves. And I was like, wow, I really love it. Like I'm enjoying, and they really enjoyed it. And, and I decided, okay, maybe that's what I want to do, because I also wanted to travel. And my sort of thing was I was gonna get a degree in teaching, get some kind of a diploma, and I was gonna travel around and just teach like here and there. But my plan didn't really work out. Like I studied master's and I got my CELTA degree, but then COVID came by, and I ended up teaching in front of the screen. So completely the opposite of what I was doing.
Wanted to do, yeah.
And so with singing, it was sort of the same thing, because I joined, when I was in Cyprus, I joined the Cyprus Opera Choir. And I was, as soon as I started singing, I could see that the feedback is even more immediate when you do that. And I was like, yeah, that's actually what I want to do even more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you studied masters at that point of time in Cyprus. It was a masters. 1 year, 2 years?
1 year, yeah.
Did you catch COVID in Cyprus or?
No, that was like 17, 16.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I stayed in Cyprus for some time. But I cannot stay in Cyprus for longer than 1 year. It's a very like closed community, and I just feel like the need to travel. So I went back to Russia and I started teaching there as well. And COVID, caught me in Russia. Yeah.
Okay, and then you quarantined
yes.
for 2 years.
The full shebang.
And how does it happen that you end here, like in Greece? Like you were in Russia, so it ends the COVID. You pass the time at home, which is also nice because it's easier.
Yeah.
Your family is there. Like at least you have the situation controlled, a little bit.
And then my mother, she decides to go to Cyprus for a holiday again. And I was like, it's the second time this year she's going to Cyprus, and I haven't traveled anywhere yet. I was like, why don't I join her? And we went to Cyprus. And then my mom actually had an idea, because at the time, European countries were not accepting Russians with Russian vaccines. And she was like, why don't you get like a European vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine somewhere else? And at the time, the two options were, the only two countries who provided that for tourists were Greece and Serbia. And that's how I came to Greece.
That's a weird combination of countries. Greece and Serbia.
I mean,
two extremes of the Balkans.
Yeah, I guess they're two most laid back countries in Europe. And I was like, okay, Serbia, not sure, but I've never been to Greece, and I always wanted to. I mean, Athens, come on, it's like the cradle of democracy. And that's how I came here. And but it was still quite a long process. It took me at least like 2 months to be able to register and to get a vaccine. And then I was able to travel, and I started traveling. I first went to Belgrade because I had to get out of the European Union because of my visa. So it was Belgrade for 1 month. I went to Montenegro for 1 month, and then I came back to Greece. Yeah.
Cool. Where does Dobby enter in this whole equation?
Yeah, Dobby is a COVID child.
COVID
There's a
child.
COVID pet. He was born in 2020.
Okay.
So he's 4 years old now, and he's been to like 8 countries already. He's been to Thailand, he's been to Vietnam, to, of course, Serbia, Montenegro.
I mean, he has a good size for travel.
Yeah.
That's the good part.
That was the reason, one of the reasons I decided
Like
to
you
get
can
him.
carry him on the lip probably in some of the flights and probably
He has to go down, always.
Okay.
Yeah, always closed in his bag. But Dobby is so good on the flights. He's very quiet. He's just sleeping. You know, as long as he's with me, he's
okay.
halara, as we say.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you traveled more than most of people in the world. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And you moved with him. Actually,
Yes.
that's I know it. I moved my cats from Germany. They were just for some months not kids of COVID also, but we were lucky. We were really, really lucky that we got them like in December 2018, like just before the COVID or something like this. Like,
Yeah.
5 months later it was kicking and we were all in lockdown. So having them, it was like giving a little bit of joy in a whole lockdown situation.
So during lockdown, you were in
Germany.
Germany.
Yeah. And to be honest, like the lockdown in Germany wasn't too bad. There was no strict lockdown in the sense of like everyone needs to be at home 100%.
I would think that Germans would be strict.
You know what happened in there? It was one of the healthcare systems that was more prepared for this kind of stuff, or it didn't hit that hard because they are not the most sociable contact society.
But also, I guess they follow the rules.
They follow the rules. That also
break.
helps. Like when they are like when there is rules, they follow them, and that's helped a
good
lot.
thing. Yeah.
The whole part of like, I don't know, as Mediterranean people, we touch, we kiss, we everything, you know, like, and I suppose that didn't help at the very beginning with COVID. So, it wasn't too bad in Germany, to be honest. Like you could still go out, you could still take walks. There was limitation on how many people you could go with, and limitation on like you needed to kind of like say, okay, this is my household. I can move with these people or that people. Yeah. So you were allowed to say, okay, this is my family and hello. And this is whatever, like, so registering even friends' houses as place to go.
Yeah.
And there was some curfew night thingy, like at 11, for example, it was like, okay, you couldn't go out. But yeah. So I know that bringing animals to a new country can be a whole experience.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is between Russia and here. Like you needed to register.
It's pretty chill. No registration. Just all the needed vaccinations. So yeah, the hardest experience we had was when we had to move out from Montenegro back to Greece, because Montenegro and Serbia, they are not considered dangerous in European Union in terms of rabies. So you had to do like an extra tighter test, which takes some time, but you know, it's nothing that cannot be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So
so now you're friends.
Yeah. Looks like we
You're
are finally
besties.
friends, huh?
Yeah.
Yay. Actually, our cat has European passport.
Yeah. My dog has a European passport. I don't even have it.
That's why I was going to ask, like, does he has a European passport and you don't?
He does.
Okay. Very cool. These small things. What about Greece? Like, you've been here for quite some time now, or like?
Well, first time I came here was in 21, end of 21. But let's say I properly moved here. When was it? End of 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So as a student with the student papers, yeah.
So you studied here also? Like you did some studies in Greece? Or?
Yeah. First year I did. I took the course in Greek, the official Greek course. I got my B2 certificate, so I could apply to a university because, Greek public universities are free for foreigners as long as you're not Greek. So technically I'm studying, but I'm not. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I moved here was because back in the day, my fiance was Greek. So, and to apply for a student visa was much easier for me than to apply for this like Greek bride visa. Yeah. And at that time, the 2022, there wasn't much time to really think like, where do you want to live? Where do you want to stay? Like, and that was the most viable option for me. So, yeah.
Nice. How shocking is it moving to Greece for you? How hard was it? Like, because I don't know, did you ever have like the romanticism of like in France, in Paris, you had this idea? But
I guess I expected something like similar to Cyprus. I mean, nothing can shock me as much as Parisians. So, and I mean, compared to them, Greek people are the nicest people on earth. They are very hospitable. They are very open. To a point. I wouldn't say they're as open as Russians. They're still a bit closed. They don't really let in to the closed circles. But I mean, they really made it easy. And I mean, they're kind of the polar opposites of French people in terms of when I came to France, I knew French like at a decent level.
You don't speak it perfectly.
But I was very discouraged, and to the point that I started hating French, and only now I sort of came back to it, and I was like, no, I actually like French. I want to study it more. Whereas in Greece, I arrived to Greece, I didn't really speak proper Greek, but as little Greek that I spoke, I was so encouraged by Greek people. They were so happy that it even encouraged me to study it more, So yeah, I guess it was much easier, but also now I'm older, I have different priorities in life. Like other things are important to me, like, and I don't, let's say, okay, I focus on the positives more than on the negatives. And every country has its disadvantages. You just need to understand like quickly what kind of disadvantages this country has and how you're going to deal with them, because you're not going to be able to change this society and you shouldn't. You just need to learn to focus on what you love and love this country for that. That this is what helped me, for example.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. So you like it here? It's
all in all, yeah. I love Greece. I mean, for me personally, I would say that Greece is perfect as a touristic place. Still, not a place I would love to really live in long term, because still like bureaucracy and mentality. I'm not sure, like I was trying to fit in as much as I could, but I still see that some things in terms of let's say work ethics, I wouldn't be able to survive here for long.
I get it. Cool, very nice. So maybe to close this first part, and then we can talk about music.
Okay.
Which I love. I also did a lot of singing in my life, so I'm looking forward to it. Just want to ask you a couple of questions more. Like I'm introducing this new part of the episode where I want to talk about recommendations a little bit.
Yeah.
So in your case, I don't know if there is any, before we go to music, but for example, food that you loved from the countries that you lived in I don't know, in Cyprus, something traditional or something French or something like this?
In Cyprus, definitely kleftiko. Definitely, they call it koupepia, which is basically dolmades. Yeah. and also coupes, which is, how should I put it? It's like minced meat sort of snack in a form of sort of a sausage. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, but it's baked in breadcrumbs. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think something like that exists in Greece as well. And you put like lemon on it and it's the best. In France, I'm going to break the stereotype for everybody, okay? And I'm not ashamed to say it, I hate French food. Really. I don't think French have the best food. If we're talking about Italy, if we're talking about Europe, Italy has the best food for me. I'm sorry, other countries.
Oh gosh.
But I'm gonna start a controversy here.
Haters will hate.
Also Italian wine, also Italian bread.
Italians will love it, French will hate it. So
I mean, okay, French bread is on another level when it comes to like pastry, but like just proper like sour bread is, you know, Italy and Germany, by the way. But yeah, so in Paris, and I'm not the only one who has this opinion, it's very hard to find decent food, especially if you're a tourist, if you're a student, you end up eating sandwiches, baguettes, you get all this like carbs, kilos, you know. It's very expensive, but if you know a French person, if you know an insider, they can take you to this really nice local restaurants that serve like traditional French food, which I enjoyed much more. It doesn't have so much, you know, this like greasy sauces and all this. And what I like there, it's kind of a similar to what we have in Bashkortostan. It's basically a huge bone and you eat like the
marrow,
the bone marrow. Yeah, I don't remember the name in French, but yeah, this is what I like.
Big bone marrow fan. Yeah. Agree. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
What about restaurants and bars? Let's talk about Athens, for example.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know what I noticed when you meet a guy, when you meet someone in Greece, one of the first questions they ask you is like, what bar do you go to? Which for me was very weird because
I'm not a regular bar person.
First of all, yeah, I don't really like going to bars, but even if I go to a bar, like I really can't tell a difference. Like to me, all the bars are the same. I'm sorry. But what I realized is, yeah, in Greece, there is this culture. They have their own like bars in their own districts. So I can't really name like a restaurant or a bar, but I can name a district. So for example, there are nice cafes in the area of Anafiotika with a nice view, and you know you can climb the stairs, and there are these places. As for bars, I would say also Monastiraki has nice bars, Thesio. If you want something more posh, more like classy, you can come over here to Vula, to Vouliagmeni, at the sea, and the service is nice and the seats are nice.
And you pay Paris prices also.
Yeah, well, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
What's your favorite Greek dish?
Greek dish? Well, let me think about it. I mean, gyro, kebab.
Of course, everything that is done in a souflatzi.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tzatziki, and of course the choriatiki salad is the best. I mean, the best of the best. I cannot name a better salad ever anywhere. Even in Russia, we have so many salads, but choriatiki is the best.
If you try to do choriatiki outside of Greece, it doesn't taste the same way.
No,
you don't have the quality of the vegetables and fruits and everything.
Yeah.
What about drinks? What do you like here? Because it's another thing that Greeks also have, like their preference, ouzo, tsipuro, raki, or whatever.
If they're from Crete, they only drink
tsipuro.
You know,
exactly. And it's just like, no, I'm a tsipuro person. Okay, you're a tsipuro person.
Well, I don't really drink alcohol that much, but I really like this. I guess it's called, I don't know, like, is it like a liquor or some kind of a digestive they bring with mastica? And the same way I like limoncello. Okay. These are basically only two like alcohol drinks that I like Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Okay, entering a little bit into music, but without going too much in detail before we do the second part of the episode. Is there any band, any music recommendation that you have from the countries where you lived or from your hometown?
So many. Oh my God, so many. I can give a list. It's easier that I send the list.
Cool.
I mean, first of all, my region is a birthplace of many famous rockers. So that are famous and were famous during like the early 90s.
Okay.
So Yuri Shevchuk, DDT, Zemfira, Lumen, all these people come from my hometown.
Okay, cool.
But now, in this day and age, we have like this recent popularity of hip hop and rap artists, and coincidentally, biggest hip hop and rap artists in Russia also come from Ufa. So Morgenstern, Thomas Mraz, Face. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, let's say. I respect, their work. I love some songs, but I'm sure like my friends could name even more. As for Cyprus, of course, Michalis Hadjiannis, George Michael, Yorgos Michailidis, or what his real name was. Who else from Cyprus? I'm not sure if -1 is a Cypriot band or is it a Greek band. It's like a rock band. Yeah, in Greece, oh my God, there are so many artists I love. Like Greek music I love it. I just love it. I mean, my mom loves it. She brought me into into loving Greek music. But I love like traditional pop. Like all my friends know the name I'm gonna say now is Nikos Economopoulos. I'm going to his concert tomorrow.
Oh wow! Cool.
I've been like 12 times to his bouzoukia in 2 years. Nico,
wow! Okay.
I am a hardcore fan. Yeah, I am. But also, Remos. Also, Mazonakis. Also the classics like Terzis, like also Pantelidis. But also I love rock bands like Melisses, like who else? That guy, the guy who translates Italian songs into Greek, and he's like the voice judge. I always forget his name.
Yeah.
Panos Mouzarakis. Yeah, and what other bands are there? I really love Franz Ferdinand, and that Alex Kapranos is half Greek as well. I mean, like these are that come to mind first, sure. But the Greece has a very big scene for musicians. Yeah.
Okay, talking about the scenes of musicians.
Yeah.
Should we do the second part and go into it?
Hey there, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this episode until here. I just want to ask a favor of you, if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're in YouTube, there should be a link around here. If you are in Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any audio platform, just go to the profile and please subscribe.
The Expert, living in Greece as a singer.
Welcome back to the second part, let's say like this. You are currently still teaching some English, but basically focusing on singing career.
Really trying to make it work.
Musician, like do you play instruments or you basically sing?
I am a vocalist. I started in an opera choir, so my instrument is voice, but I do play some ukulele and some piano, but really basic, nothing to be really proud of, just to accompany myself, when I practice something or for warm-ups. Yeah.
Cool. How did it came, all of this? Like, where does it, you said that when you were little, you were saying you're a singer, actor, like.
Yeah. I always wanted to sing. I was always, into music. But as I said, my family, they're also into music. They are all creative in their own ways, but because they are economists, it's a bit strict, let's say, atmosphere. So for self-expression, I was like paving the way for, the next generations. Like my both nephews now are playing like bass and lead guitar, and my sister is writing poems. My older sister, she's I can call her a lyricist,
Okay.
but a lyricist. But she also studied like in music school. My mom also did. They both studied piano. My father is a huge fan of rock music. My grandfather used to play kurai. Kurai is like our traditional flute, let's say. My grandmother was always into, dancing. So, but, our main, let's say, topic in our family was economics. So, I've always wanted to do that. My first step out of like my comfort zone into what I really wanted to do was in Cyprus, when I just really wanted to see, like, am I actually good at singing? Like, do I have what it takes? And it so happened, the only really professional coach, vocal coach, happened to be a Bulgarian opera singer who had her own choir. And she was like, we came as a group of friends, but I was the only one who stayed for real. And she was like, yeah, you actually have a pretty big range. And she like invited me to her choir as a soprano. So as I said, as with TV, I was just happy to sing, whatever. I wasn't really that into opera, let's say like my sister is. But, it's still nice music. It calms your nerves, And but then of course I realized if I want to perform, if I want to make money with it, of course it's a bit too late for me to enter the opera stage, because you have to start earlier, you have to, And I also, I have a big range, but I knew like I could never do opera at the level of, let's say, Maria Callas or, Anna Netrebko. So, and deep down, they call me, my friends always call me, like on my Instagram, it's also written, I'm Lilusha Pankusha, because I always liked punk music, punk rock, pop punk, classic rock. I also love just pop and, I love many genres, but deep down, I knew that I wanted to do something a bit more energetic.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Without being hardcore,
yeah. Whatever I do, it still turns out to be a bit softer than intended, but just because of my voice. Yeah, soft rock, soft punk, let's say. Yeah.
Cool. So when did it started becoming like you did this choir thing, like experience in Cyprus, but at some moment you decided like, when it's the moment that you say like, no, that's the focus now, I want to do this?
Well, as soon as I started, I was like, I really want this to be my focus, but I didn't know at the moment how to actually switch, because there's also a lot of stigma about being like a singer, a female singer. So people don't, when you say you're a singer, είμαι τραγουδίστρια, εντάξει, they think you're some kind of I don't know, not a serious person, let's say. And also, coming out to my family as a singer was a challenge. And it was always much harder for me to sing, in front of my family than in front of a big crowd. Okay. Which is weird, but yeah. We did some, we performed a bit with my opera choir. I really liked it. It was mostly for charity events. And little by little, I was like, I wanna do it professionally. But again, COVID hit, and for entertainers, that was not the best time. Yeah, and I had to continue teaching while not really enjoying that too much. But as soon as COVID regulations sort of went back, I realized, okay, I can actually go back to it and try making it work. And but of course, at the same time, I would just, record my covers. I would post them on my YouTube channel. I would post some content on Instagram, on, TikTok. Not the biggest TikTok fan. I'm too old for this, I think. but you can't avoid it if you want to be an entertainer. And as soon as I came to Greece, I started, talking to people, finding, fellow musicians, DJs. I joined a band, a rock band.
Okay.
It's just, 4 boys and me. And there are 3 Panoses, 1 Thanos and Lily.
Panos, Thanos, Lily. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we do mostly like 80s covers.
Okay.
We do what they like. Then I met an agent who would try to get me jobs, in like bouzoukia places for warm up, or, in some lounge restaurants. But as I said, it's a bit specific, the industry, the music industry itself and the music industry in Greece. So like my latest performance was actually among the Russian crowd, Russian community. And I did it was like a 90s themed party.
Okay.
So I did some Russian songs from 90s. Yeah, of course, as a musician, as an artist, as a creative person, you always have this like creative energy. You need an outlet. You want to do much more than you can. But for now, I'm happy with what I have, because what I realized from listening to people who, made it, and yes, it takes a talent, at least 1%. Yes, it takes hard work, like 98%, but there's always this 1% of luck in every success story. Yeah. So no matter how you look at it, and I try to do whatever it takes from me. I work on my voice, I work on my talent, so to speak. I, try to find ways to perform, to make connections. I'm actually proud of myself, for making it this far in only 2 years in Greece. If I were, let's say, a 19-year-old Lily, I know I would have been more shy to, to
go out.
Out. Yeah, exactly. But, I always keep it in mind that there is this luck component, whether I have it in my life or not. It's not up for me to decide, really. It's out of my hands. If I have it, great. If I don't have it, I'm really happy with what I've already done and I'm planning to do with my projects. I know people, I'm not that exposed, let's say, to that many people yet, but people who listen to my music, they appreciate it, and that's what matters. And even if it's just one person who said that they really, like my voice, or they just put on my songs to soothe themselves. For me, that's the biggest reward.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the name of the band?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem, because we don't have a proper name even yet. I'm taking any suggestions.
You have 3 Panos and a Thanos, so
yeah.
I think that's a very good name.
Lily and the boys.
Yeah, Lily and the Oz.
Yeah.
Cool. And which you said you do mainly covers?
Yeah, mainly
80
covers now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then you have your own projects aside of that?
My own YouTube channel, where I also release my covers of my vision is that I really like music of different countries, and I just want to share it with people and to show that, you know, music is universal, and it is possible to like Greek music, it is possible to like music in Russian, of course in English. In English is the most popular. But my other project is, you know, songs in my native language, which is Bashkir. And the problem I see in that I'm trying to solve is that there are like this canon, let's say, recordings of the songs, which were made, let's say, in the 80s, 90s with like a proper voice, with a proper instrumental, but unfortunately in not so great quality. And you cannot really access them online. It's like you have to search for them.
Okay.
But they are very popular, and a lot of people nowadays, they're making covers. But unfortunately, they're you know, in an attempt to be unique, they use instrumentals that are a bit, let's say, too pop, too, I don't know how to explain it.
A bit
Yeah. So it loses the original, you know, soul. So what I'm trying to do is record these songs the way I feel like they should have been recorded, but in a better quality. So, you know, other generations could also, you know, come and listen of my people and hopefully appreciate. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really nice. I mean, if you are able to revive something and bring it, keep it the essence on the originality with newer recorded. No?
It is a bit of a sore subject, like our, you know, ethnic minorities in Russia, because nowadays not so many people, less and less people speak those languages. Even I don't actually speak it because my parents spoke Russian to me. I was raised in Russian. Only my grandparents speak it. My parents, they do, but also, let's say, not so freely, or they speak it only with my grandparents. So I even feel a mix of, you know, shame / annoyance at myself that I didn't really make the time to learn my native language. So yeah.
No, never say never. No,
Yeah,
so
of course.
there is always time.
Of course.
Cool, very nice. Do you write your own songs? Like, you have the process of writing? Or?
I don't yet. I do write my own songs with the help of AI. Do you know you could do this now?
Yes, you can even create songs directly with AI. And there is tools for doing the whole song.
Yeah, I like writing lyrics. I just, you know, because I never had a proper, like, the music theory education. So I had this insecurity of, am I even able to write a proper song? And, you know, I think all performers have this, like, especially if you start out as a performer who sings covers, or if you don't write your own songs. Let's say Nikos Ekonomopoulos, he writes his own songs, but, you know, he doesn't show it to anyone because he isn't sure if they're gonna be as good. So, yeah, but with the help of AI, I realized that my lyrics could actually work in a song. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, for now, I think I'm better at performing than writing. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a process though? How do you work in your own songs? Like, you try them out and then at some point you decide that this is good to
when
record?
I write my
not writing, but performing them, or like saying, okay.
Yeah, what song to choose. Yeah, it's like it's like I get on this vibe. For example, my Greek cover, the way I recorded it, it was crazy because I was just in Montenegro and I had to go to Serbia, and I was gonna go myself. I was driving, and I realized that I know some guys in Serbia. I know a great music studio, and I was like, as long as I'm in Belgrade, I mean, I might as well record something. And I was already starting on the road, and I called him up. I was like, hey, Miloš, do you have time for me, like, tomorrow? He's like, yeah. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I need to choose a song. What song do I choose? And I had this song in mind that I was like, I was feeling comfortable in. And I felt like at the moment, I really wanted to talk about what it talks about. And I was like, yeah, it's that song. And I was like, can you find me good musicians? Yeah. And I was already getting like cut off because it was, you know, the mountain roads. And I arrived and he, you know, brought me this great professional guys. And even the lead guitar, he told me, oh, I actually love Greek music. I love bouzoukia. And, you know, I'm very proud of the arrangement that we did because I also guided them. I was like, you know, go wild. And we did this rock cover, and I don't know if it's not too humble of me to say, but I feel like the instrumental is much more interesting than the original. I'm not talking about the voice, because Nikos's voice is, you know, hyperοχή φωνή, but you know, I really like the instrumental.
Cool, very nice. So one of the things that it also happens if you check your YouTube channel is that you sing in languages that are not your mother tongue. Yeah. Besides having the project that you're trying to recover this, you even sing songs in languages that you don't speak at all, as far as I understood.
Yeah. Some, let's say, well, I mean, let's say Turkish, it's very close to my mother tongue, to Bashkir. So, but I mean, no, I sing in English, French, Italian, Russian, Greek, Bashkir, Tatar, Turkish a little bit, and, you know, one more, which was Spanish. Yeah, Spanish, but Spanish, I feel like it's kind of easy to sort of mimic if you really, you know, try to do it, if you learn.
Do you speak all these languages?
No, I don't speak Spanish at all.
But you can mimic it out
Turkish.
Of the Italian, for example.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Cool. Very nice. Do you have any projects going on right now, like any new songs that you are working on, like something that you're...
No, I mean, it's like I'm always keeping it in mind, but, you know, for me, it's important to know, to have a good studio and good musicians. And for now, I'm still searching for, you know, for musicians that I like. And it's also important to vibe on the same song. So as soon as I meet someone, I'm very quick. I'm like, let's do something, let's go, let's start a band. I have like several bands going on. But yeah, I mean, they're still in the very like beginning shape, but yeah, I'm in this kind of vibe that I'm very, let's say, active at, you know, finding jobs, finding venues, performing. And in order to record, I think you have to be in a bit different mood. You have to, you know, take it easy and really like feel the song, and so that it comes out the way you want it to.
Cool.
Yeah.
How is it the whole part of like, because I always imagine it like being the worst of the worst, like finding jobs, finding gigs, finding places where to play. How is it here in Greece? Like how...
Well, in Greece, as I think in any industry in Greece, connections matter. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Having the cousin of a cousin of a cousin who knows who owns a bar there, and then they have this night.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like easy and hard at the same time. But I went to so many auditions. I went to auditions where they accepted me. They were like, yes, you're gonna start at bouzoukia like next week, and then this club doesn't even open, or, you know, the owners don't agree between themselves if they even want to have music in their venue, like in their restaurant, for example, or, you know, or they end up hiring, you know, a relative. It's all like a part of the process. I'm not even talking about like the darker sides of this. That's not for your podcast.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to avoid all this. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's fine. It will work out sooner or later. Like I'm not discouraged, but I do feel like sometimes I'm in this La La Land movie.
Okay. I see.
Without being depressed. But yeah.
Cool. Well, that's a good part though. Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, I moved around some circles. One of the funny parts when you said like that COVID stopped, when I said before that in Germany there was no like strict lockdown and you could actually say like, okay, this is the family house, so you could go to that place. Mm-hmm. You could register up to 3 households thingy, mm-hmm. like circles of houses that you will be visiting. And one of the ones was the one of my best friend in Frankfurt, one of my best friends in Frankfurt, which happened to be also my vocal teacher and singing teacher. So
what kind of style? Are you a rock singer? I imagine by your tattoos.
No, not at all. Actually, I actually started a little bit like the same opera singing, musical.
You're a tenor.
I'm a tenor.
I imagine, yeah.
I did like classic, a lot of like, not 100% classic, more like in musical theater. Mm. I've been in choirs.
What is your favorite musical?
Oof, that's a very difficult one. I don't know. I really love one, but it's a local one. It's a Catalan production.
What's it called?
It's called Maricel.
Okay.
And it's a production of a very
is it about
good,
a girl?
No, there is a love story inside of it, let's say like this. But it's talked about the Christians and the Muslims, the wars in between Valencia and like the regime of like what was Al-Andalus, like the Arabic part of Spain during the
Andalusia.
Yeah.
Bohemian, Notre Dame de Paris.
Exactly. So it's a story inside of a pirate boat of Islamic pirates who has captured some Christians, and it's a love story of a Christian girl and the pirate captain, and it has very, very.
I really want to like check it out.
It's in YouTube actually. If you want to check it out, big recommendation. It's in Catalan, but no, if you speak French, you will understand
it.
I
don't mind even if I don't get it. I mean,
French and Catalan are really close. So if you speak French, a lot of French people understands more Catalan than Spanish some of the time. So. Yeah, so I did that. And then with Frank, which was this vocal teacher that I had, very good friend of mine until now, actually, in Frankfurt. He was the first person who grabbed me and opened the spectrum. So I listen a lot of punk, I listen a lot of rock, I listen a lot of ska music. Ska, I'm always around ska.
Do you know
reggae.
Locomondo?
Yeah, of course. I've seen them a couple of times.
Nice.
And basically he teaches complete vocal technique.
Oh yeah, CVT. I had a CVT teacher here as well. Yeah, it's the best now.
I love it, because he can tell you like, okay, you position them like this and the whole muscles. And with him, we did very big repertoires from songwriters from Catalonia to punk rock singing to Celtic punk, to rock, to indie, to more like things. We did also like some classical songs. But I opened with him, it's when I really exploded in the sense of like, now I can do different kinds of music, that it's not this kind of like always more like classical music or opera singing.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I loved it. It's very, very cool that
what is your most favorite aria, like a tenor aria that you did?
I don't know. That's a very difficult question.
Yeah. Nessun Dorma.
Nessun Dorma.
Yeah.
I think it's really sad because it's like probably the most common response.
It is for a reason. Like, I mean, the same for me is like O mio babbino caro. I mean, come on. Yeah. It is classic for a reason. Yeah.
I think it would be Nessun Dorma.
Are you going to see Placido Domingo like on the 10th?
No, I'm probably not going. I went to see... I love Josep Carreras, who is singing with Placido.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of a dilemma with Placido, with the whole sexual abuse and the whole situation
Oh,
that had
okay.
there.
Yeah.
So it was more an ethical discussion. I would love to see them,
Yeah.
but at the same time, ethically, it was like, should I go? Should I not? And this is
I
like the
really
whole
loved.
thing.
I saw Placido once in Russia when he came to Moscow to Crocus City Hall. I don't know if you heard. We had this tragedy there recently,
For sure.
and he was amazing. Like I really loved how he holds the crowd, but also he did one song in Russian.
Oh, really?
Which was it sounded really weird, but everyone loved it. Очи черные. I don't know if you know the song.
No.
Очи черные, очи страстные.
Yeah, I think I've heard it.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, he conquered everyone. But yeah, this controversy, I haven't followed it too much, but like in those topics, I prefer to, unless it's proven, I try to, I don't want to break the image of, I really don't want to think bad of him.
Yeah. He was just judged and
but
condemned.
He was judged. Yeah.
He was condemned. So
Okay.
it was like,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know. It's like the whole thing. I went to see Andrea Bocelli last year. Really, really nice. Here, I love when they do the Epidauros, Athens Epidauros. I went to Tosca.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. I'm going to La Traviata in 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
In the Theater of the Dion. It's really nice. Below the Acropolis. It's really cool.
I went to see Tosca there like a couple of years ago. They had it there, yeah.
So Madama Butterfly last year. I'm going to see Nabucco next year in the Arena of Verona.
Okay,
Cool.
Oh,
So,
yeah. There you're gonna be swimming in opera.
Yes, sure. So yeah, I am in this repertoire. Although at home, for example, I'm not a person who listens to opera.
Yeah.
I was kind of entering this world, and I think a lot of people had it. Like, okay, you enter some kind of the classical and whatever because it's a kind of way of studying music. But then at home, like people listens punk and ska and whatever.
I have a lot of friends who are like opera singers. And none of them really listen to opera in their free time. And none of them dress like opera singers. Like, yeah.
You assume that I was a rock singer because of tattoos, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, my favorite genre is ska. I'm always into the ska environment.
I like it as well, yeah.
What do you define yourself? Like, how do you define your music genre-wise right now when you're singing?
Oh, what I sing? Yeah. Well, it depends also if it's like just for a venue, like for a restaurant, for a lounge bar, it's like basically soft jazz, soft pop. If it's with a band, then it's, classical rock, punk rock, pop punk. If you ask me what is like Lily as a genre, it's a genre. It's a genre of its own, yeah.
I see. That's good. I mean, if you are capable of like switching and dancing between styles.
I mean, not that many styles still, but I feel like, now we're in this modern century, let's say, so we can't really think of ourselves as our ancestors thought of themselves. Like, we have all this information, we have all this history, culture behind us. It's very hard to create something new, something fresh, especially in music. It's just 7 notes. And so you have to like reinvent music basically. So you're bound to like combine genres to be able to give birth to something new. Yeah.
Makes sense. Cool. Maybe I'll just do last couple of questions time-wise, probably. What about video clip? I think I saw some kind of video clip and marketing thingy. How do you do that? How do you deal with the whole video clip perspective? Is it something that you're really interested in, or it's more like, okay, I need to do a video clip because of promotion?
It's a little bit of I have to do it, but as I said, I always wanted to be like a movie maker, and I wanted to be like not even a film director, but I wanted to produce music videos. Right now, I wouldn't say that's my greatest passion. I really like making, short videos. I don't take myself seriously, but, at this point in time, I cannot afford like a proper, video maker studio and, all this huge team. So I have to produce everything by myself. But, I'm enjoying it. I have friends who help me. Like I have a very good friend who's a photographer who, I have a good friend who had the latest iPhone. And then there was me like directing everybody.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't take myself so seriously. And I also look at it, objectively. I'm not a Lady Gaga. I'm not a Beyonce. I'm not at their level yet. So I don't have this level of resources. So I do, the best with what I can get. Yeah.
Yeah, but right now, I mean, you can produce podcasts with 2 iPhones and you can do very, 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 very professional video clips. If you have an idea and that's good enough, like
that's the most important thing. If you're not inspired, then it's probably not gonna work out.
No. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So probably the last question, I mean, the most important one is where people can find you. Like where are you? Where is your presence right now?
Mostly on Instagram. It's at Lil Mardan. And anywhere you can find me by this tag. On YouTube, it's Liliya.mp3. On SoundCloud as well. Basically on any platform. Also, one of my covers is available like on Spotify and other music distribution platforms. You have to search for Liliya, Liliya. It's called Kuz Nurim. It's in Bashkir and it means the light of my eyes.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Nice. So with the light of my eyes, I think it's a good end of the episode. I will, of course, put all the handles and all the social media in the description of
and
the
Dobby
episode.
has a TikTok. It's called Dobby the Gentleman.
Oh, the small gentleman. Who doesn't like gentlemen? Or takes some time to like men. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for your time.
It
was really nice talking to you and discovering your life and your passion and hopefully bringing some new listeners to your music.
This is Expat Experts. Support this podcast by listening us in Podimo and subscribe in Spotify and YouTube.